Hey everyone, it's Mike with It's Pittsfield Tonight. I'm going to step right into it. No, I'm going to jump right into it. Just kidding. This video is going to be a continuation of the last video I did, talking about the outcome in that last special licensing board hearing we had that was for violations against our city councilor, our at-large city councilor Yuki Cohen, who owns Methuselah's Bar and Lounge on North Street in Pittsfield. So for you, those of you that don't know, just to quickly fast forward, during the pandemic, Yuki Cohen, who was the owner of Methuselah's, was hit, I believe, 3 times with violations for coronavirus violations. Every time it made the media, some of it controversial. One of the violations involved fellow city councilor and licensing board member Dina Lampiazzi, and then this current one was very controversial because it showed city councilor Yuki Cohen on top of the bar and the whole deal, and those videos went around. So that's what this hearing was for, and the result of it gave a 28-day suspension to her alcohol license and a 60-day suspension for her entertainment license. I thought she would close because she basically is a bar, but it looks like she's going to stay open and try serving food with no alcohol, no music. So she is open. Anyway, I did a video and I said, because during that hearing, the chairman, Mr. Campoli, allowed an attorney that represented, I believe, a little bit under a dozen of our local restaurant owners, and he said that they were going to be giving a presentation, and I said that should have never happened. He should have never allowed that to speak, and it ruffled a few feathers with some people, and I want to clarify what I was saying, because I'm not changing what I was saying. I meant what I said, but I totally can see where it was taken out of context, or could have been, because I don't script this, I just speak, you know. That's what it was. So when I watched the video later, I said, well, I could see. So here's what I was saying, because we all know there's been all this drama. So Mr. Campoli is the chairman of the licensing board. He, at the beginning of that hearing, there's some, he introduced some people, he says some names, calls roll call, whatever it is. They ask some questions, and then he says, I have spoken with this attorney and these whatever, and I've decided to allow him to give this presentation to the licensing board. Okay, so then this attorney goes to speak, he starts speaking, all of a sudden, Councilor Lampiazzi, or licensing board Lampiazzi, or DA employee Lampiazzi, but Dina Lampiazzi starts getting combative with him, and very combative, and at one point she even says, your so-called restaurant association, or this so-called restaurant association, like, whoa. For one, he never said he was with a restaurant association. She just decided to bash everybody. She got nasty about it, and the reason I said Mr. Campoli should have never allowed that to happen, because the attorney, there was no presentation. There was zero presentation. This is what happens. The chairman talked to them ahead of time. It's his responsibility to decide what happens and what takes place, what he's going to allow to take place during that meeting. He said he talked with them, he felt it was relevant and was going to allow them to make this presentation. When that happens, when presentations are made in a open public proceeding like that, it's not a question and answer or debating, interjecting. It was allow them to give a presentation and then speak. That never happened. There was no presentation. It got combative, it got defensive, and then combative and offensive, and it made everyone look bad. It didn't do any justice for Councilor Cohen, and it made the other restaurant owners look bad. It just continued to make Dina Lampiazzi look very angry. And look, the thing that makes me mad, and I brought this up, and this is nothing against Councilor Cohen. I don't blame her personally for this part. But Dina Lampiazzi, Pete White, as city councilors, those two specifically, when Yuki Cohen was hit with infractions the prior time, they went to her Facebook page. Dina even put something, this isn't verbatim, but it's very close, and I have the verbatim screenshot, but she said something like, you're an example of what everyone should do in the community. We support you, go, 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 and all this kind of stuff. Pete White was doing the same kind of thing. Your tacos are great, can't wait to come in. And as a city councilor, they don't realize what they're doing there. I don't buy that. Because how many of these other restaurants did a licensing board member or city councilor, did Dina ever go to the proprietor's Facebook page and say, you're a great example for our community? Did she ever do that with Mazzio's? Or any of them? You got to stay neutral on that stuff, and you wonder why people see the picking sides. She decided ahead of time, a long time ago, and whether she did or not, it looked that way. She told us when she ran for the city council that it wouldn't be that it was going to be a conflict with her being on the licensing board, and then she got elected, and they put on this huge show of why she has to be there. She's irreplaceable, and this whole ordeal. This is why this whole show it boils down to a volcano that's been building up, and that's why that should have never been allowed. It did damage, and Mr. Campoli should be ashamed of himself because he said he was going to allow a presentation. That never happened. He should have said to Ms. Lampiazzi, can you remain quiet till he finishes his presentation? But it didn't get that way. It got combative, and it got confusing. And so I blame the chair. Isn't he the one who runs the meeting? And that's what I meant by that. It was nothing. I understand the frustration of all the restaurant owners. Look, when Tricia Farley Bouvier, as a state rep, put on her Facebook page when the nursing home thing broke out, and she said basically blaming restaurant owners. She's put something, I have that screenshotted too. She deleted part of that. But she put a post out instigating, saying that restaurants were responsible for people dying. And you should have seen the comments on that thread. And a lot of them going after the Mazzios. And here she was. It isn't the Tricia Farley Bouvier podcast. Here she is as an elected state rep for everyone and creating a platform for people to rip apart our restaurants and vilify them and say you're killing people. She did that. So all this gas was poured on the fire ahead of time, and everyone is at breaking point. And I don't think we really had a solution that anybody's happy with. Councilor Cohen feels like, what the... I know she does. And look, I'm not defending or not defending anybody at all. But I'm saying everyone feels that way. The other restaurant owners feel dragged through the mud, beat up, put down, loss of revenue. Some of them lost their business. So they're like, hey, I don't have other city councilors backing me up. The ones who really should, I said if I was Councilor Cohen, I would have resigned. I would have. It's too much heat. That would be me. It's too much heat, and I think it's too much bad attention on the city. That's why I would do it, for the sake of the city. It looks bad for the city. And that's what I was saying. And I am going to finish the interview with Councilor Cohen tomorrow. And I'm going to allow her to finish that. And the things that people wanted to hear, hopefully they get answers to. But, that's what I meant by all that. That whole thing was a giant fiasco. It was building up from the beginning of this pandemic, from when Dina Lampiazzi appeared to be like viciously going after some of these businesses. And if she wasn't, it seemed that way. It was very scolding and how dare you kind of attitude towards everyone who was just trying to adapt to a pandemic. And they started shaming people. And so that's how we got to this. And then when it got to one of her friends, she defended her. So she didn't do Yuki Cohen any favors either. I don't know. That's why I hope people remember all this election day, and I hope more people run. We need to see more people running in the wards. And look, I would gladly interview Councilor Dina Lampiazzi and allow her a chance to speak on this. So Dina, if you do see this, I would gladly do that, and I will allow you to speak. I won't edit it. I'll allow you to speak if you would like to. I'm just throwing that out there. So, but I hope that does clarify why I said that. And it hurt me to see how bad that got, because I thought immediately, like, oh, great, there goes this restaurant association. Now there's this fighting and cracks. And I was one of the people to come out and say, we need to get a restaurant owners association. I'm sure a lot of people remember that. And I wanted it to be a positive thing. And I want it to be a part of it just from a marketing point of view. I don't want to tell anybody what to do. I wanted people to tell me, hey, Mike, this is what we got going on. Can you do some videos and marketing type stuff? That's what I wanted to be part of, to help, and I was willing to do that for free for it. So, but, I just feel like now with all that, and especially the comment Dina Lampiazzi made, it was like, wow, this so-called restaurant association wielding its power. She sounded like some union buster person or something. It was, that's what it sounded like. And that was disheartening to hear that, because I thought, great, so now that association's going to break up before it even got started. Wonderful. And we'll just keep fighting. And that's what I meant by that. I don't want to see the fighting anymore. So to any of the restaurant owners, you're more than welcome. I'll do an interview with anybody who wants to speak. Anybody. I'm telling you, if it's relevant and you're part of this and you feel like you should be heard, message me. I absolutely will do that. And I mean that. So that is it for now. Tomorrow I'll be interviewing Councilor Cohen, and then it'll come out the next day. I've got Kevin Sherman coming up the day after that. I'm waiting on Craig Benoit to get back to me, but Craig did, I think, hand in his papers and get certified and all that. Oh my God, I'm missing somebody again. I'm always Karen Kalinowsky coming up. And and I'm always plugging other media. John Kroll had a great show today about bowling. Check that out. I'm not kidding. It's about the loss of 10-pin bowling in Pittsfield and the real effect it had on a lot of young people that I did not know. The PHS bowlers and kids who were getting bowling scholarships, and it's a great interview, so check that out on the John Kroll Show. And you know what? I'm going to start plugging every day Slater and Marjo on 95.9. Check them out. That's a great show. I'm a loyal and faithful listener of theirs. And someday soon I'm going to try to beg them to have me as a guest. But check out Slater and Marjo. Start following them, because they're going to have a lot of cool interviews coming up. We're into this political season. John has always got good stuff. And support local media. Of course, it's Pittsfield tonight too, but support local media. And let's start looking at everyone's perspectives. And maybe we can come together. So that's it for now, and I will catch y'all in the next day or two.